On with my stuff, I'd like to hand over to Corey, who's going to be doing a presentation on behalf of OneSure. So, Corey, yeah, thank you for sponsoring, and the floor is all yours. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, I'd like to tell you guys a short story. So, once upon a time, there was a young gentleman living in the Vaal, of all places. This young gentleman stumbled across a document called a COB. He looked at the COB and he gathered some more. And he was shocked that consumers were not treated fairly and that they were charged. Oh, and that they were charged all different kinds of amounts for credit life, but they all had the same benefits. This gentleman's name was CJ, and one day, while sitting in his favorite armchair and taking care of his knees, because we all know you'll miss them when they're gone. Sorry, I'm getting a bit of feedback there. Sorry about that, guys. I'm going to start that again. This gentleman's name was CJ, and one day, while sitting in his favorite armchair and taking care of his knees, because we all know you'll miss them when they're gone, thought of a plan to save consumers money while giving them the best cover. He assembled a team of like-minded people and rolled out the One Credit Life policy. The rate was set at R2.95 per thousand for unsecured debt, and this has not changed. After all, consistency is key, covering consumers for death, disabilities, and retrenchment up to 12 months. The One Credit Life policy has been around since 2012, and 51% of the One holding company was recently acquired by Old Mutual Insure. So, if you believe in treating your customers fairly and having peace of mind that you do not have to stress when it comes to claiming, then give us a call and together we can make sure that your debt review client's journey also ends in a happily ever after. So that's a little short story on One and where it came from. So just to give you a bit of feedback, One charges R2.95 per thousand for unsecured debt, and then for R2 for home loans. We also charge for joint applications. It's R3.50 for unsecured debt and R3 for bonds. We have a maximum of 800,000 that you can cover on a policy. That's for single or joint. And then obviously when it comes to claiming stage, you do not have to stress. We will help you with that. Nice thing also about the One policy is that as your balances go down, and you can always update your balances with us, and the policy's installment will go down as the balances go down, which is really great for your consumer that's under debt review. We can also look at covering stuff like your school fees or levies that can be included in the cover. Also, you can include stuff like your aftercare. So if a consumer is retrenched, we will then pay your aftercare up to 12 months, which is, which is a really, really great offering. So yeah, as I mentioned, 800,000 maximum. It will go down as the policy go down, and every consumer that we sign, or you sign up and you refer to us, will be called by a broker, and we will absolutely discuss the policy with the consumer as we go along. So yeah, thank you very much again for DCASA for the opportunity to sponsor. Thank you for the opportunity to give a bit of feedback on the One product, and yeah, thank you very much, Rainy. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. I see we've got a question here in the message box. What is the
Sure.
max cover on the bond?
So 800,000 irrespective. So we do cover everything up to 800,000 rand. So we do not go over 800,000 rand. In my experience, I've been with One for about 3 years now, and in my experience, when a home loan is close to ending, the credit providers do not reduce their credit life. So the credit life of the credit providers stay the same. But with us, as the balance go down, your policy will obviously be cheaper because we don't want to overinsure the consumer. So 800,000 through the bank. What you can also remember is if a consumer is overinsured. So let's say you've covered him for 800,000 rand in the beginning of debt review, but you never updated balances with us. And now the outstanding debt is 600,000 rand. We will not take the other 200,000 rand, and it will not go lost. That's what I'm saying is the 200,000 rand that's over and above over the debt will go to the actual boedel. What's a boedel in English?
Estate.
Estate, that's right. So the other money will go to the estate, and the credit provider will be settled. So the money that the consumer paid will not get lost.
Okay, fantastic. Any other questions from anyone else? You can unmute yourself, but can I please ask that you put on your camera off and mute yourself if you're not speaking, but the floor is open for any other questions for Corey. Yes, fine. Okay.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank
No
you
more
very
questions.
much.
Oh,
Well,
we've got
thank-
Adele. We've got Adele.
Oh, right.
Oh, let's go for Adele.
Sorry, guys. I just want to quickly just reiterate what documents we as the debt counsellor must send when we send the referral.
So very easy. We give you a little calculator. So if you owe in Simplicity, most of the work's done there. If you load your policies onto their all your documents onto their vault, most of the documents will be pulled from there. So very easy. We just need a broker mandate that the consumer must sign. And most of the so like Maximus and Simplicity already has it in their document pack. So you can simply send us a broker mandate. We need the power of attorney. We'll need your Form 16, so for basic information of the consumer. And then we need the calculator that we give you. If the other systems, obviously Simplicity gives it already. And then we'll also need a Form 23. The Form 23 is just some sort of NCR document that basically the consumer says, I give permission to cancel. But with the power of attorney, the debt counsel can sign the Form 23. It doesn't have to be signed by the consumer. It can simply be signed by the consumer, by the debt counselor. So do you mind if I answer the question from Zach?
Yes, please go ahead, Corey.
So very, very important when it comes to insurance, you're not allowed to give advice. You are allowed to talk about the product. So you can say to the consumer, look, you are paying credit life. There is credit life on your certificate of balance. And there is a product that is cheaper. Do you want someone else to call you? And we can then save you this amount is what you are paying. This is what you will be paying. If the consumer then agrees, it will go to the broker, and the broker will contact the consumer and discuss the policy. So you're basically not allowed to tell the client that he must cancel, or you can't tell the client he must cancel. You can obviously just give an option to say, look, you've got cheaper cover, but you've got the same cover at a cheaper price. So just very important there. But in terms of advice, you're not allowed to give the client advice if you're not FASA creditors. I hope that answers your question.
Great. Any other questions? If not, Corey, thank you very much for your presentation. As always, very much appreciated. So for any of you new debt counselors out there, you haven't sort of seen Corey before, or Zach. Now, between Zach and Corey, they're known as the debt review dummies. But as you can see, there's certainly nothing but they're certainly not dummies. So the next on our agenda, we've got Zach sort of coming in, and he's going to sort of discuss the debt review awards and what we can expect for next year. So Zach, if you can sort of take the floor, please.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, one of my favorite subjects to talk about, debt review and debt review awards. So thank you very much for letting us chat. And I can confirm that Corey is a bit of a dummy, but that's okay. Right, so to talk about debt review awards, the process is underway. Is anybody here unfamiliar with debt review awards? Maybe we must start there. Anybody who doesn't know about it? Okay. So it looks like everybody's familiar with it. just to let you know, if you want more information, you can always go to datereviewAwards.co.za and you can read stuff there about the process and the criteria and who's involved and are your details there, that sort of stuff. You can find it on the website. The process is underway at the moment. It started again a few weeks ago. We started talking to credit providers. Do they know you as a debt counselor? And you might get something to ask, do you know the credit providers? Unless in the past you've already reviewed a credit provider, then we know you know who they are. So if you've never heard of, First Rand Bank, well, anyway, we'll figure it out. And then we have the people who do know each other slowly start to talk about things in more detail. If you'd like an explanation of how that works, we recently hosted a workshop, and I'm not sure who was and wasn't there, but if you'd like to, I'm going to paste something into the chat, which is a kind of podcast. You can go and watch it or listen to it on YouTube. And it just explains a little bit about how each phase of the process works and whether you're involved, whether you're being considered, how come maybe you get a lot of reviews to do or you only get one review to do every now and then. What do you do if you've changed your contact address or you've changed your brand? What is involved? So we discussed that all in that podcast. So you're more than welcome to go check it out, please. Other than that, if you do get some requests to answer something, please do, because that's how it works. We all do a little bit, and then that gets added together, and it helps share the weight amongst all of us. If there are any questions about the Debt Review Awards, I'm happy to answer them. But please, those are the main resources at the moment you can check out. Go to the website and watch this podcast thing if you're interested. It just explains it in more detail. But we are excited. We had really good viewership. Everybody, thank you for tuning in to the awards ceremony. We had the people at the place, the venue, who kind of organized it for us. It says the most people they've ever seen on YouTube watching an event. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, no, it was really enjoyable, and well done to everyone who was recognized. Riney, always getting recognized amongst the top companies there because of your hard work, no doubt. Either that or you're quite good at debt review. I'm not sure. One of the two, but certainly a lot of hard work. So well done. And then, yeah, if you need anything, guys, you got suggestions for us. That's the thing we're always after. We're after suggestions. So I had a lovely discussion. I spent about an hour with somebody talking about suggestions for the awards today. We're always looking for suggestions. We want to find ways to improve. We want to find ways to share more information. We want to find ways to make sure we're recognizing the right people. It's one of the things we worry about always as the industry. Yeah, please talk to us. Thank you very much, Riley. That's me, other than questions, if there are questions,
Okay, well, thank you very much, Zach. Just out of interest, where are the awards going to be held next year?
There's this little place in the south called Cape Town. It's quite nice. There are a few people there in our industry, and it's going to be held on that side of the country.
Oh, that sounds fantastic, because funny enough, I live here. So, all right. So if there are any questions, by all means, please put something into the chat box. We will get back to all those questions that you do ask. So feel free to, if you haven't thought of anything yet, I'm sure you'll think of something in due course. And then just throw it into the chat box, and we'll certainly get to those questions. So without further ado, let's sort of move on to the presentation that we're all here to listen to today. So can you see my screen? So everyone's happy. Cool. Okay, so Debt Counselors Association of South Africa December webinar. So I don't want this webinar to last forever, so I'm going to sort of move quite quickly through it. So I'm just going to sort of go what we actually have been doing throughout the year. So we've got the Credit Industry Forum, otherwise known as CIF. So for those who are new to the debt review experience, what this all stands for is we get together with all sort of stakeholders, sort of discuss problems that we see within the industry itself. So, and we have the NCR that sort of chair the meeting for us. Now, unfortunately, the NCR are pretty short-staffed at the moment. So So as you can see, we've got about 12 matters that are actually up there for the CIF, but we've had to put numerous ones on hold simply as the NCR are unable to sort of handle any further, anything more than 3 sort of items at a time. So if we just got to go through the DC fee review at the moment. So why they want the DC fee removed is the
Ronnie?
NCR. Yes, can you hear me?
Sorry, you're not sharing anymore. You're sharing your screen, not your presentation.
What have I done now? Okay, sorry. Let me just try that again.
No problem. Just thought I'd...
Vanessa, would you mind just sharing on my behalf? So now.
Yes, Reinhard, sorry, just give me 1 second. I know you've sent me enough.
I sent you a copy of it. Sorry, guys.
I'm going to try and open it for you now.
I can try share again.
To see if you can get it right, or else I will share.
Okay,
you did it fine. I think it was fine.
Yeah, I did it fine. Let's see. Okay.
There we go. We can see it.
Can you see it? So let me just start from the. So let me just start from the beginning again. That's good. Okay. Okay, so you can all see it now.
Perfect.
Cool. Perfect. Okay, so if we just go back to DC fee review. Now, one of the matters that the NCR sort of flagged up that they want to sort of review the fees because there are numerous debt counsellors that receive fees and don't actually do the business. So, and then hold the client to ransom when nothing is actually being happening. So we've sort of gone back to the NCR and said, well, could we actually see some figures? We'd like to see some numbers on who's causing this, which the NCR haven't given us. And our sort of line of sort of inquiry which we look at is, well, if the clients aren't, if the DCs aren't actually doing their job, what is the NCR doing about it? Right, so it's one of those contentious issues because we believe if they do split the fees, which they're looking at doing, so that you'll receive only partial amounts of your fees until you go all the way through to the through to the proposal stage, you'll only receive a portion of your fees. Now we feel that that's not really going to work very well, especially for the smaller debt counsellors. So this is a conversation that's going to carry on going. We're supposed to have another meeting on this shortly. Hopefully still next week, but I'm not too sure on the dates. I think Vanessa might be able to sort of correct me on that one. But we will keep you updated, but we're going to fight that fees remain the same as they are. So we will still receive our upfront fees in the beginning, but we just need to sort of take this through to the NCR, and we're going to have to sit there and fight on this matter. All right, then we go to reckless lending. Now, reckless lending, as far as I know, it's pretty much near on completion. Vanessa's just had a conversation, as she mentioned earlier, with what will be discussed. But I think in lines, we're just concerned that everything, when we do a reckless lending check, that the banks do supply us with all the information that we need in order to sort of make an assessment to see whether it is going to be a reckless case or not. Now, and one of the other things what the banks want us to only charge, we can only charge for reckless lending if we find that if we take the matter to court, which once again is not going to work, because obviously if we find it's reckless, the banks will actually request that they will agree that it's reckless, removing the account from the proposal, and we'd never get paid. So that's just not going to work either. So it is something that will be discussed tomorrow, and we'll certainly update you as soon as we have any further information. Then obviously DCRS, as you all know, everything has gone online last year. Sorry, Vanessa, you got your hand up.
Hi, Reinhard. Sorry for jumping in. I also maybe wanted to just throw it out there. Another issue that we've picked up with the reckless guidelines at the moment, I just want to mute the person who's Rihanna. If you can just mute your mic for me, please. So another issue that we've picked up in the industry at the moment is that they won't allow you to investigate reckless lending after a Form 17.2 has been submitted. So you have to inquire for reckless together with Form 17.2. We have found in the industry and in the practicality thereof that sometimes it only comes alight a bit later. So even while you're busy with the court order or something like that, and now what the credit providers are doing is say, listen, you haven't raised reckless credit at 17.2, so we won't be entertaining your request now, and we won't be sending any information to you. So apparently there's a case law that we've picked up that are using as a type of argument to say why they are doing this. But we've challenged this. We are going to challenge this and to say we don't identify this in the case law. We have perused it, and nowhere should we limit a consumer's rights for reckless just because of a time limit. So that's just another argument that we're going to throw in with reckless lending tomorrow. I don't know if any of you guys have identified that as well with reckless.
Yeah,
No.
That doesn't seem to be at this case, because I certainly
Okay.
we don't do a great deal of reckless lending. Simply, it's very cumbersome and nothing has been fully agreed as yet. So, once everything is agreed properly and it gets passed, then by all means, I'm quite sure we'll see quite a few more reckless lending cases sort of coming to fruition.
Yes. If the process is more, it's more accessible for everyone, and we know what we are doing.
Exactly.
Look at Zach. He's asking which CP. I'll email you.
Okay, so next thing is DCRS. Now, obviously, DCRS all went online last year, or actually the year before. Everything's been fine, but there are still some glitches within DCRS. Now, in order for them to fix these glitches, we still need to come to an arrangement on the DC fee reviews, the PDA fees. So until these things are actually all sort of finalized, there's not much that's going to happen with DCRS. But we do hope to have all this done within the first quarter of next year, to have reckless lending and the DC fee review sorted out. Right, then if we just look at the other matters, we've got the task team agreement compliance that's been put on hold. PDA fees are still on hold. The annual review, ADRAs, but ADRAs, they are looking at having a meeting very shortly on that. So that'll be interesting. Then you've got the NCAA, which is on hold. POPIA is on hold because we're still waiting for some information to come back from the NCR to see how we're going to move forward with that. Then the sold books, as you're aware, the sold books, I think most recently Wonga, everyone's been struggling to get any information from Wonga Finance. We've only finally got information through, I think it was last week Friday, that Nimble Collections is actually taking care of that now. And so for all of you that haven't had any sort of CIBs from Wonga, etc., please direct everything towards Nimble. You should have had that update on Friday. And then we've got the CBA, which is the Credit Bureau Association. That was initially put onto the CIF, but that was removed simply from time constraints. But the Credit Bureau Association still want to engage with the debt counseling industry and other stakeholders to see how we can streamline, especially when it comes to issuing clearance certificates, etc. Because what has been noticed in the industry, as there have been a lot of fraudulent sort of paid up letters being sent to credit bureaus, etc. So they're looking at ways to sort of minimize that and to ensure that all the information they get is correct, and so they can actually produce these sort of clearance certificates and remove the client's information from the credit bureaus faster. So yeah, so I think Vanessa was looking at having a meeting with them early next year, where all debt counsellors will be invited to sort of partake in their presentation. Cool. So if we move on to the next slide, if we look at the credit provider interactions. So I've just listed quite a few of the creditors I have spoken to personally. So we've just go through IMAS, FinChoice, Capitec Bank, ABSA, Standard, FNB, Nedbank, MFSA, Wonga Finance, which I've just sort of mentioned earlier, and Eskom Finance, which I just left out. Now, just to let you know that all these people are in full agreement with working with the task team agreement, right? But everyone does come up with a slightly different sort of issues. When I spoke to IMAS earlier this year, IMAS originally wouldn't accept a Form 17.3, or if a client missed a payment for whatever reason, they'll demand that payment is caught up within a 60-day period. So this is no longer the case. As long as you actually produce a 17.3 with proof of the client's predicament, they will look at extending the loan term, the actual repayment, by up to 4 months, as per the task team agreement, which is really nice. So, and one of the other issues that we had there were refunds. As long as you've actually followed the timelines against the task team agreement, they will refund the client. Now, ideally, they'll refund that directly to the PDA that you're using, to ensure that the client then makes his first monthly payment without it falling a month behind. So they'll prefer to actually pay the payment directly to the PDA, and then it will get distributed that way. So somebody's not on mute. Yeah, FinChoice. With FinChoice, I had a lovely meeting there as well. They're in full agreement with the task team arrangement. So if there are any issues, by all means, do bring it up. I know people have been complaining about refunds, but I believe this has been sorted out. So everything should be running quite smoothly with them. Then Capitec Bank. I'm quite sure a lot of you, there'll be a lot of complaints there with the insurance, this, that, the next thing. But I, once again, when I sat down with both Carolina and Cindy, and sort of went through all the issues. Now, one of their biggest problems has been that they get proposals that get sent through where they've looked at the client is paying 1,000 rand, but yet his legal fees are 9,000 rand, and they actually showed me a couple of thousand of these cases. So, and this is one of the reasons why they brought out that advert. So, are you sure you know what you're paying? Right, because I think it took all of us were rather upset when we did see that advert. But that was the reasoning behind it, because I mean, obviously there are those rogue DCs, as I call them, that are overcharging on services. So Capitec, all they did was try to sort of protect their own clients. So it is understandable what they've come from, but they have agreed to water down these adverts quite substantially, as to there are debt counsellors out there that do the job correctly. Now, the one thing you will notice on the insurance, especially when we send out our proposals to our clients, to Capitec, they cannot give us a sort of or approve the actual proposal, simply because the insurance on their side is still active. So if we actually doing replacement insurance, it hasn't been replaced by their end yet, they're unable to actually put that into the systems. So what they have asked, because basically it takes 14 days for replacement insurance to be done. So when we are sending a proposal, that they've just asked that as soon as you are going to do the replacement, that you inform the sorry, I'm just going to read it for you. So once you receive the COB and do the over-indebted assessment, implement the insurance replacement as soon as possible. Get your insurance company to inform Capitec as a matter of priority. Right? And then when sending your proposal, ensure that you've received feedback on the substitution request. So make sure you get your substitution request has been sent, everything's done, and then you can send your proposal. And then use the correct communication channels of Capitec Bank to submit your documents. So insurance replacement requests must be sent to insurancepolicies@capitecbank.co.za, and proposals must be sent to ccsproposals@capitecbank.co.za. We'll also put that into the chat box for you, so you have that information. Right. Then if one of the biggest problems that we've also seen recently are terminations, and I've seen a few queries on that. Now, the likes of ABSA, Standard Bank, I think are the biggest ones, where once they've terminated the actual debt review, it's virtually impossible to get it sort of put back. I have spoken to Yaku, and basically they have a stance: if the client has missed 2 months worth of payments, they are just going to terminate. All right, and if you haven't sent a 17.3 to explain what the problem is with a brand new proposal, they're just not going to look at it. So please, it's so important to actually send out your 17.3 when there is a change in circumstances with reasoning and a new proposal to both Standard Bank and ABSA. Okay, so, and then with other issues that we've really had, I haven't seen any major issues with FNB or Nedbank, because obviously with Nedbank, they tend to be more lenient when reinstating. MFSA, I haven't spoken to, it's Leonie Pletzer, who's the new CEO of MFSA. We've got an arrangement to have a conversation next week, so we're just going to catch up and see what's happening in the industry. Now, just to let you know that MFSA does back the task team agreement, but they've also put it voluntarily for their members. So I'd like MFSA to actually be a bit more forceful, where DCRS is accepted as the norm for any of their members. So that's one of the conversations we'll be having next week. And then finally, Wonga Finance, as I mentioned earlier, we all know where to send the information to now, and that will be to Nimble Finance. Okay, does anyone have any questions at this stage? Are we all good? Yeah. So let's move across to NCR, DCASA, and NDCSA. All right. So just that you know, NDCSA, that is the other association for debt counsellors. It's pretty much your debt busters, national debt advisors. They all belong to the NDCSA. But myself and Benai, he sort of runs the NDCSA, and I'm the president of DCASA. We sort of get together on a regular basis and chat, and then we also have sort of quarterly meetings with the NCR, because we've obviously been in dispute with but these are the main articles that we sort of discussed with them. We said, all right, we've received a legal opinion in regard to a client being able to withdraw from debt review within the cooling off period. So that's prior to sending the 17.2B. Now, from the actual the opinion that we got, that there shouldn't be any issue as to why we shouldn't be able to remove the client from the debt review status before the 17.2B. However, we presented this to the NCR. They are sticking to their guns, and they said no. As once a client has signed the Form 16, they are under debt review, and the only way out is to either we send a Form 17.2A stating that the client is not, we've done the assessment, he's not over indebted, and send all proof to the NCR, or otherwise you'd have to go through a magistrate to actually state that you're not over indebted on the basis that you haven't received a court order already. Right? So that's one of those matters we're not going to win, but we are going to carry on fighting. Trust me. Then DC renewal certificates and changes. You might have all noticed on your new certificates, you no longer see your ID number. So that's one of the changes that we've done. But one of the biggest problems is actually receiving your certificate on time. Funny enough, last year, January, we had a long conversation on this matter, and we were told that everything will work smoothly. As I'm quite sure those of you who have had your license renewed, everyone's received was pretty much late. So once again, we'll be having this conversation with them early January to see where we can sort of help. We have made various suggestions, so maybe they'll actually take us up on some of them. Right, then the complaints department. We've actually spoken to the head of the complaints department. One of the biggest issues is staffing again, because they receive a lot of complaints, but there simply isn't enough staff to actually cope with the numbers that are coming through. However, they have asked, please do continue to send those complaints, because what happens is they actually look at which DC is being complained against, and the one with the most complaints is generally the one that they will actually investigate first. So please, if you do have any complaints against any other DCs, do continue to send them through. And if it's really serious, by all means, you can get hold of me, and then I will take the matter up directly with Louise. Right, and then obviously problem DCs, or as I call them, rogue DCs. Now, unfortunately, there's not much we can do with these rogue DCs at the moment, but we are working with the NCR, and we have pointed out quite a few suspects, so to speak, and they have been put on the list with the NCR to be sort of looked at. I can't give you the names of who's going to be looked at, but they are working very hard on it, and trust me, there will be some things happening early next year. So just watch the space. And then obviously we sort of spoke to them about the importance of the associations and how we can help. So one of the suggestions we did make is that part of your sort of registration purpose that you belong to an association, whether you belong to DCASA or DCASA or another association might pop up, but at least that you belong to one of those. So these associations can actually keep an eye on their members. So if there is a dispute, one of us from your association will be able to contact you and say, this is what this DC is saying, please send me the proof. And if not, in that way we can regulate and hopefully monitor the DCs, which in itself would actually help the NCR. So that's where we're going towards. We should have had a meeting with them a couple of weeks back, but unfortunately the NCR were too busy, so we've had to reschedule our meeting for early next year. So I will keep you updated as to what's happening there. Cool. Any other questions before I move on to this? Right, Vanessa, please shout if there are any questions, and just let me know. Right, now just a bit of sort of background here. I'm sure those DCs that have been around, you've all heard of Nikki Campbell. She's been very adamant on trying to get people out of the debt review space, especially when she's tried with NCT orders, etc. Now, this is a recent case. It actually happened to be mine. Where the NCT have basically looked at the matter and said the client is over indebted before the arrangement was put in place, so they're not going to rescind it. The only way they will rescind any of these matters if it's clear evidence that something was done incorrectly, or all parties didn't agree. All parties didn't agree to the actual consent order. So just bear in mind. So when you see these rogue debt counsellors promising to take people out of debt review, it is just not possible. So, and we've got this information to hand, so you can send these out to your clients and say, listen, here's the law. You can't just be removed from debt review. So, and I think we've got them in our documents with. Vanessa would have a copy of all that. So, if anybody wants any of that information, please just give Vanessa a shout, and she'll be able to give that to you. All right, and now this is the most interesting one that we saw recently. Charlotte Scott has sort of approached the courts to get a declarator on Section 1035, all right, or otherwise known as induplum. So now the point is where does the default occur? Because according to the task team agreement, basically once we've agreed to a new repayment plan, the default itself has been remedied. But the argument behind this is, although the agreement is never actually rewritten, so how does this? How could they sort of determine that the default has now been remedied? So we're looking at having the defaults are brought back to the original date of default. So if the client defaulted in month 3, right, and then we're under debt review 6 months later, we'll still go back to month 3 unless he'd actually got his default up to date. So it'd be interesting to see what comes out of this. It could make huge changes, but I don't see the banks not fighting this one. Are there any questions on Section 1035? Or is everyone fully aware of it? I did see some people ask me questions earlier about induplum, so please, guys, ask now if you need any further assistance. Nobody? Okay, so well, that's pretty much it from the presentation. But I've had quite a few questions that have come through, so I'm going to stop sharing now. And but please, people, do ask questions. All right. Are there any questions before I read some of the questions that I've actually received today?
I don't know. Let me quickly just go through some of the chat conversation here. So I see Sean and New Leaf Debt Solutions. They am still awaiting their certificates from the NCR. They have asked it for repeatedly. They told them that the certificates are ready, but when they send a courier, they don't have it ready. They don't know where it is. So maybe if an email can come from you, because I've already tried to intervene, and maybe you can send it on to Louise and ask her to just escalate it to them and get the certificates ready, because it's been what, 6 months now?
Yeah,
5,
so
6 months.
that's new leaf tech councils.
A new leaf, and I've got Sean as well.
Yeah.
But I'll ask them they can just send me an email. I'll forward it to you. If there's anyone else on this webinar that need assistance with the certificate, please do send me an email. Let's make a list and try and push for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please do. Right, then I've got a question from Detmend. It said Form 17.2B rejection, assessment discrepancy. Sometimes the client decides not to go ahead. It's pretty much what I sort of mentioned earlier. We believe that a client should be able to come out of debt review. As long as we haven't sent the Form 17.2B, unfortunately, the NCR don't see it that way. So the only way you can actually sort of remove get the client is you send a 17.2A, which basically states you've done your assessment and the client is no longer has been proven to be not to be over indebted, and then you need to send all that proof to the NCR, and then the NCR will update it automatically. But if you don't do that and you send a Form 17.2B, that's it. The client is stuck under debt review, and the only other way out would be through a magistrate's court. Okay. Then Standard Bank wrongful terminations and renegotiate interest rates. Right. This is one of the disputes we have had with Standard Bank, because Standard Bank, as long as if it's not a DCRS proposal, what they do, they'll just reduce the interest rate by 5%. So I've had conversations with Destiny regarding this, and I said, well, it's not really fair the way. I mean, other banks are sort of a lot more generous than you are. So what are you going to do about it, basically? So what they have said, it's a decision that was done across the board. However, they would be willing to look at individual cases. So if you do have an individual case that needs to be looked at, and if you're not willing, please let me know. Get me involved. I'm not going to get involved with every single one, but obviously if I see a trend, then I'll go up and see Standard Bank again, so we can get this matter resolved. But they have promised me that they will relook at these matters. Where it is urgent, and they will reduce the interest rates further if necessary. All right. Debt counseling for new inexperienced members. What are the pitfalls to be aware of? Well, that's a difficult one. There are many pitfalls. I think the most important thing on being a debt counselor is do become a member of DCASA number one. You'll have access to Vanessa 24/7 pretty much, where she'll be able to help and guide you. We've got various other people within our NEC that are actually preparing little what's the word, little pamphlets for you to show you exactly step-by-step guides on how to run your own debt counseling business. And obviously what to be aware of is, I mean, when you get a lot of transfer requests across, for no particular reason, you need to question it, because there are those rogue elements out there that will promise everything to the client, which is just not the case. But that's why I'm saying belong to an association like DCASA, and we'll fight these battles for you. All right, reinstatement of accounts after termination by credit providers. Once again, this is something we can only beg with our credit providers. I do speak to them on a regular basis, especially with the likes of ABSA and Standard Bank when on terminations, where I think they are being a bit unfair. But according to the law, they are actually entitled to do what they are doing, which is a bit frustrating. But trust me, I will carry on badgering at this until we sort of get some further compromises from the likes of Standard Bank and ABSA. Okay, and then your Form 17.3 and terminations. That's from TLC Debt. Yeah, when you send out 17.3, all right, you need to have a proper reason as to why the client sort of missed the payment. By saying it's Christmas, that's just not going to wash with the credit providers. However, if there's been a car accident or something like that, the repairs are necessary, the banks are pretty good at actually doing that. I mean, I had a client last year who needed a gearbox changed. It cost 25,000 rand, so she missed 4 months worth of payments, and it was all accepted and put through. So the 17.3s do work, all right, but you need to have a proper reason for that. Okay, so are there any other questions? Because these are pretty much the questions that I've highlighted that sort of came through to me. Does anybody else want to ask something? Yes, Imran.
Hi, Reinhard. Thank you so much. I just want to raise a concern that I've been picking up recently, and a lot of other credit providers are starting to do it as well. When the client applies for debt counseling and the credit was taken out recently, they indicate on the COB that it's included, but when we start negotiations, then they either put an exclusion notice or they want contractual. It's kind of difficult, and some of these now are asking like assessment outcomes similar to what we'll do as a reckless lending investigation. I can actually send you an email from one of the credit providers who sent to us recently. So I just want to comment on that if any other DCs are also experiencing it at the moment.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, in my opinion, it's quite straightforward on this. If a client comes under debt review, regardless of when he took the loan out a month ago or not, I mean that should be included. There's no way they can exclude it. I mean, the Act is very clear on this. They can, at the end of the day, say that they're not willing to sort of reduce anything. That's obviously within their rights, but they certainly cannot exclude it from the debt review process. And as you mentioned now with the reckless lending, it is a problem, but that's why we're trying to resolve this matter with our talk with them tomorrow. So hopefully we can get something in place where the banks will have to adhere to the reckless lending issues that we have at hand. So hopefully, Imran, we'll get something sorted for you. All right. Any other questions?
Reinhard, so we've got Adele Reinhard who said we have a big problem with distribution to MTN. Now, that's the service provider, not per se a credit provider. However, we confirm the banking details and the reference, but the payments are returned to Hyphen every single month. They're unable to reach MTN via telephone. Anyone else maybe who can assist with contact details for MTN who knows the process?
Right. I mean, I believe we have issues this end as well. Anybody else experiencing problems with that? So obviously, I'll get onto it immediately. All right.
Yes, it's the same like Wonga. Yeah, they do not exist with MTN.
So what we'll do, we'll actually try find something for you, and as soon as we do, we will update you accordingly. So I'll get my team looking into it right now, but if I can get some solution, I'll certainly let you know.
I see Antonio dropped an email address there for us, lesibamuchi@mtn.com, for any of you who want to try. Thank you, Antonio.
Okay. It seems that Nimble has a new bank account for Wonga. I would need to check that out because I'm not aware if they've got a new bank account, but so certainly it's worthwhile checking out with the IPDA, with your PDAs anyway, as they'll need to confirm that.
Yes, we have tried with the Wonga accounts or in the process with the Wonga accounts for a while now.
Yeah, it's just concerning that they've got new banking details. Nimble's got new banking details, so just double check, just make sure that the money goes to the right places. Yeah, there we've got another one, Gary Barnett. So there you have an address for MTN. So hopefully you'll be able to sort yourself out with that. Any other questions, guys? Please, this is your chance to actually speak and ask what you want. All right. So is everyone happy?
Thank you, Antonio. He gave us now a few other email addresses as well for MTN if you want to record that and copy it into your records. Yeah.
Okay, so if there aren't any further questions, then we can pretty much adjourn this meeting. And I could just like to thank you and wish you that you have a fantastic 2023 year end, and look forward to seeing you all next year, and that you have a better year next year within this industry. And if there are any questions, by all means, do send them through to me. I'm happy to answer them. You can send them to president@dcasa.co.za, and I will get hold of it. If not, you can send it directly to Vanessa, which is dcasa@dcasa.co.za, and we'll certainly look at everything for you.
Okay, Reinhard, we've got a few things coming in. They've asked, we've got an escalation process for FinChoice. They've been lagging in response. We do actually, you are quite in contact with, I think it's Celeste Hendricks, isn't it, Reinhard?
Yeah, I actually have on a speed dial.
The same, yeah. So we usually we send through, we escalate to her, and she has been responding quite quickly. Imran, please share it with me too. I assume it's the MTN. All the details is in the chat above. If you can just scroll. Then I've got from Tidimalo Farasi. We have an issue with Standard Bank on terminated accounts because we are not able to accept due to client's tight budget. However, when the client finally accepts and we send a motivation for reinstatement, they come back with a higher offer.
Okay, yeah, this is pretty much standard practice for Standard Bank. Basically, they will send you a sort of a revised proposal. The client can't meet it, but they give you 10 days to respond. If you don't respond within 10 days, they then cancel that actual. And so you'd have to reapply again, which is rather annoying. It is something that we have spoken to Standard Bank about. But what they have asked, if you still haven't got an arrangement in place with the client, just let Standard Bank know and they'll hold on to it for a bit longer. Just say we're still trying to get hold of the client, but unable to sort of tell you right now whether we can accept or reject the actual counter proposal that you have sent. So we are really trying to do something. So it's just watch the space and we'll see what we can do at Standard Bank.
Yes, thank you, Reinhard. Thank you, guys. I also see Antonio has put some details from HomeChoice, FinChoice in the comment box. If you can just copy that for your records as well. And then we've got a questions, contact for AutoPage accounts. I don't have any, but if there is, please do drop it in the chat.
Unfortunately, I have nothing.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so yeah, I think as far as I know, AutoPage is gone. So I really wouldn't know if there's somebody else is saying. Okay, so if there are there any other questions? By all means, put your hand up, speak. If there is nothing, then thanks, guys, and do send me an email, and I will certainly look at it for you. All right. So other than that, yeah, have a great end of year, people, and look forward to meeting you all next year. Well, some of you I'll meet in person, others I'll just see online. So, yeah, until next year, then. Have a great one. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.